Hello, beautiful people. I'm sitting here. I went for a walk today and I wanted to find y'all a little bit of a sight. I didn't get too much of a view from my random walking. I did want to show you. I'm parked right up next to the Barcelona stadium that they're actually working on right now. I don't know what they're doing, expanding it or revamping it or doing something, but there's a bit of construction here. It's um, closed down for the most part, but yeah, if any of you are football fans, and I don't mean football Americano, then you'll probably recognize Barcelona. They're up there, you know. Anywho, so that brings me to another point. Is I'm currently learning video editing for a little video that I'm doing on the hospital that we've been getting checkups here. I'd mentioned in an earlier video that that I will do a video on that, so that's in the works. I'm learning how to splice and put together a video for that because I didn't record everything in one go. I also have an idea for a video I want to do before I leave Barcelona. I want to take you around and show you some spots in Barcelona that are really beautiful and some different things, and some facts about Barcelona as well in that video. So that's also something coming up that I'm working on. Anyway, for this video, I wanted to talk to you about some twin facts. I've learned a couple cool things about twins, and any of you who've looked up interesting things about twins have probably heard these facts, but if you haven't, like I hadn't before I was having twins, then they're probably news to you. Yeah, so let me dive right into it. Sorry, there's a lot going on around me here. I'm not too far off the main path. Sorry, so let's get into it. Facts about twins. Did you know that 40% of all twins end up making up their own languages? I thought that was really one of my favorite. That's why I had that first. Because when I was young, I actually made up my own language too. I just didn't have a twin to like continue on the language with, so it didn't last as long. But I think that it died. I think that's usually an earlier life thing, and it will die off as they get into school and start using the regular language. Also, another fact is that twins are a little over twice as likely to be left-handed. I'm very curious about that one. I was wondering why. I spent some time thinking about it. I have no clue why, but it's the truth. There's like, I think 22% of twins are left-handed, whereas only 10% of regular people, non-twins, are actually left-handed. Yeah. So identical twins, I'll say, here's another fact, is that identical twins are not necessarily genetic. Fraternal twins, that can like be a genetic thing, but they haven't found like conclusive evidence that identical twins aren't just random. Now there are theories that like the male carries the genetic for identical twins, and it's something about the sperm causes the egg to branch off and to split, but that's not been like conclusively proven. That's just a theory. It could just be random. And on that note, identical twins share 99.9% of their DNA, and it can make it hard to like identify them, but there are some factors that actually develop while they're in the womb. Like I learned that like fingerprints develop by the way they move their hands around and they interact with the amniotic sac. That's how they end up with different fingerprints, and also your belly button is actually a scar left by the umbilical cord. So it's very possible for identical twins to have like totally different, distinct belly buttons. It could be something I use in the future to tell them apart. Along with that, like the way that their head and their cartilage can like sit while they're in the womb can lead to slightly different like shapes for each of them. But I guess we'll see as time goes and when they come out. And there's a thing. Here's another fact: is that it's possible for twins to have different fathers. It's really weird and it's very rare, but for a mother to have two eggs that drop down and get fertilized by two different people, and as you might know from sex ed or just from, like, I don't know, reading or learning at some point, that a man's sperm can actually survive for days inside of like the fallopian tubes and stuff, or somewhere else. I'm not super knowledgeable on all of that, but I know that it can last for up to days. So it is possible for a woman to get impregnated by two different men at the same time, and they've got a term for that, and I have to read it because I haven't memorized this, but it's heteropaternal superfecundation. Whatever. And also another fact: did you know that for older moms, it's more likely to have twins? And that's not even just from IVF, that's just in general, even like naturally occurring twins. It's just more likely in older moms. There are some theories that it's like a genetic like evolution to have like the stronger females and more healthy females like put their genetics more out there at the same time. I don't know about all of that, but it's very interesting. And for the last fact, I don't know if you've ever heard of the it's the twin to twin transfusion syndrome, or TTTS, which is kind of a funny acronym for it, but that is what they call it when one of the twins will take all the nourishment from the other and essentially eat its twin in pregnancy. Now that happens mostly early on, so I think we're pretty well past that at the 24-week mark. I think that it has happened in some rare cases later on, but that's why we get checked up so much more often and do ultrasound so much more often, is so that we can see if that's happening. And I guess there's some ways that they can nip that in the bud if it is starting to happen. So not too worried about that now. It happens a lot of times early in pregnancy, so you imagine like how many people out there were pregnant and didn't know that it was twins, and then they just didn't end up making it long enough to identify that they were twins before one of them absorbed the other one. Weird, a little bit dark back there. Well, anyway, that's all I have for you. If you have any other facts or any comments, or like, what do you think about some of these? They're very interesting. I like to think about these different things. So if you have any thoughts, I would love to hear them. If you have anything that you want in like a future video you want me to cover, like I said, I'm gonna cover the hospital in Barcelona that we're at, and then I want to do another one on the different spots that we're adventuring around to in Barcelona. So if anything else comes up and you think of something that you'd love to see or hear, let me know in the comments. Alright, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.